This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you you can't ignore simple facts. Welcome in once again here to Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it is A to Z here on this Tuesday. Appreciate you guys making Locked On Sports Atlanta a big part of your day. Thanks so much for following us on Twitter and on YouTube as well. Wherever you get your podcasts, search Locked On Atlanta. Big show prepared for you guys today. We're going to break down the Hawks-Hornets playing game matchup with Brad Rowland. He's going to join us in the show as well. We will look forward to Major League Baseball and the Braves continuing to struggle on the offensive end. We'll get to that later on in the show as well. First segment brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks. All right, NBA fans, you're looking for daily fantasy option for the NBA, then you need to try the award-winning app Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. I love Prize Picks, and I know you will too. I use it mostly during football season, but guess what? NBA playoffs are a great time to get involved as well. It's easy to use. You pick between 2 and 5 players, and an over or under on their projections. You can win up to 10 times the amount that you wager, and it's just you versus the projections. That's it. Entries can be made in 60 seconds. It's that easy. Prize Picks is safe. They offer fast withdrawals. Use the award-winning app, both on the App Store and Google Play. Prize Picks also offers a variety of options. Prize Picks offers any prop you can think of, from points scored to rebounds, even steals. Prize Picks also allows mixed sport entries, so you can pick Trae Young for the Hawks and his point total, and then also go pick Matt Olson for how many RBIs he'll have or how many runs he'll score in the same day. It's that simple. Prize Picks doesn't just offer NBA, Major League Baseball. They have soccer, MMA. Of course, you get college football, college basketball. It is everything you can imagine. For a limited time, Prize Picks has an exclusive no-brainer of an offer for all of our users. Users get $50 for free if a player in your first Prize Picks entry scores a single point, but you must use the code NBA. That's right. This is an exclusive offer available to Locked On fans. Sign up today and use the code NBA for $50 free if a player in your first Prize Picks entry scores a single point. Again, Prize Picks and Prize Picks app. All right, I wanted to start today with the Atlanta Falcons and the upcoming draft. I continue to hear talk about the Falcons in the draft, and I sometimes wonder who people in this town or what people in this town think about how the draft process works and how rebuilding a roster works. And sometimes I don't know that they get it. A lot of my colleagues and radio hosts in this town, sometimes I don't really know that they have a full view of, what building a roster entails and the steps that you have to take, because there is an order. It's not just willy-nilly. Like, there are teams that have the benefit of being in a position where they can take best player available and other teams can't. And typically those teams are teams that are routinely winning, right? Like, I covered the Baltimore Ravens before I moved to Atlanta. I was living in Baltimore. I covered them for a decade. And they always took best player available because they were always in playoff contention every year. They could afford, they had the wiggle room because they had enough depth. They had enough players. They had the quarterback situation squared away that they didn't need to reach for certain players at certain positions. They were wide receiver starved for years. They couldn't draft a wide receiver to save their keister. And they tried several times and swung and missed. And once they stopped trying to reach for wide receivers, guess what? They won a Super Bowl. I mean, you just start figuring out different ways to supplement what you need and what you have versus where you draft. And I hope Falcons fans can understand this. It's very simple. Like, I get that this is not a great quarterback class, but if you're building a roster and you're rebuilding a roster, you need to have the quarterback of the future on the roster, or at least somebody you believe is the quarterback of the future on the roster. And there are so many examples of this right in your face. Look at the Cleveland Browns. When did they finally make the playoffs? When they got Baker Mayfield and they had some consistency at that position and they were able to put the rest of the team around him, right? It wasn't because the Cleveland Browns had a good roster and it was Brian Hoyer at quarterback. No, that was never the situation. Look at the Bengals. They drafted Joe Burrow. They were perpetually bad. They drafted Joe Burrow. And well, it's Joe Burrow. But Burrow and Mayfield were both number one overall picks. None of these quarterbacks are worth it. That does not matter. It really doesn't. What matters is starting at that position first. And if you're not going to draft a quarterback, then you have to find a solution that is better than Marcus Mariota. Like that's the issue for the Falcons. There is no way logically you can start building your roster from anywhere else. It just doesn't make sense. And while I don't know, to me it's like it's mind baffling that Falcons fans, well, these quarterbacks are in it. The quarterbacks are next year. Okay, so draft a quarterback this year, throw him to the Wolves, as I've said repeatedly. And if it doesn't work, guess what? You're going to be bad. Then draft another one next year. You do what the Arizona Cardinals did. They drafted Josh Rosen. They threw him to the Wolves. You know what they saw in a year? Guess what? That dude can't play. You know what they figured out? They were right. Where did he end up? Miami. What did they do? Shipped him off. Where is he now? He's in Atlanta, I think. Is he still on the Atlanta roster? Anyway, he can't play. So what did they do? Immediately draft Kyler Murray. If you draft him this year and you miss, guess what? You draft another one next year. Because in reality, and I'll remind you guys of this repeatedly throughout the football season, this is not year one of the rebuild. This is year zero. Year one of the rebuild starts next year. This year does not count. You've decided to burn this year. You've got $60 million in dead cap. This year does not count towards anything. It is a waste of a year. We all know how bad this team is going to be. There's no reason to expect them to be mildly competitive. If they are, great. I'm not saying they shouldn't try. I'm not saying Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot shouldn't put together a team that they think that can actually win football games. Go ahead and do it. There's no problem with that. But in reality, that's not going to happen. If it does, great for them. But it's just not what I see happening at all. So this year doesn't count towards anything. It's next year. And if you want to draft a quarterback again next year in the rebuild, in year one, go ahead and do it. But if Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral shows you any flashes that they can play, guess what? You know what you can do next year with that number one pick or that pick that's in the top 5 if you're bad? You trade it for more commodities and more picks. And you're able to start getting younger, cheaper talent in here very quickly. That's what you have to do. Again, trade Grady Jarrett. Make sure you get a first-round pick next year. And the possibility exists you could have 3 first-round picks next year. That's what the Dolphins did. They had 3 first-round picks. Guess what? Then they start moving them off for high-level players. I mean, guys, the path through a rebuild has already been set. You can see it through the trees. You know exactly where to go. For all my former military folks, it's like doing a land nav course. You kind of know when all the brush has been trampled on, people have been walking this way. A lot of people have been walking this way. Follow them. This doesn't have to be where you reinvent the wheel. This doesn't have to be where you look at the whole thing and go, well, I have no idea what to do next. No, the path is there. Everybody sees it. If you don't get the quarterback figured out, you're going to continually be rebuilding. Go look at the Washington Commanders football team. You know, those guys. They've been searching for a quarterback forever. They had RG3 for 1 solid year. What happened? They made the playoffs. Next time they made the playoffs, I think they were 7-8-1. Like, come on. You have to have the quarterback situation. You have to have stability at the quarterback situation. Why have the Packers been relevant for the last 30 years? Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. Why were the Colts really good for 20 years? Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck. Now, I'm not saying you have to find those level of quarterbacks like all-time greats, but the Ravens went from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson. Playoffs, routinely, consistently, as long as they've both been healthy. I mean, it's really not hard to figure out once you stabilize the quarterback position. Why has Denver been muddling for so long? Because they haven't figured out who the quarterback is. They finally go out and get Russell Wilson. Watch things change. Again, it's not a crazy scenario. When did the Chiefs become good to really good? Alex Smith, because he helped them win the division, I think like 3 straight years in a row. And then Patrick Mahomes, figure out the quarterback situation. It's I don't know why you wouldn't draft a quarterback. Whether you think he's if you don't think he's the guy, I'm not saying go ahead and get one. If you truly don't think Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, if you truly don't think those are guys, that they are not the guy, then don't do it. But you have to be resolute in that they are not the guy. And don't take a quarterback in the second round. That never works out. It never, ever, 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 ever works out. There's like 3 second-round quarterbacks that are worth it. Like Derek Carr I think he went like 33rd or 34th. He was at the top of the second round, is one that has worked out. Andy Dalton was good for a long time, but never great. There's a couple of other ones, but those are the ones that pop off my. Don't do it. If you don't think he's the guy, then don't even waste a pick. Don't even take one. Period. Not in the 4th round, not in the 6th round, not in the 7th round. Don't take a quarterback. If you're not getting a first-round quarterback, don't waste the pick, because that's all it is a wasted pick. I mean, this is not a difficult thing to figure out. Either take a quarterback at 8 or be 100% resolute that none of those guys are going to be it. And if they turned out to be legitimate, long-time franchise quarterbacks, that's when you stand up and go, we missed it. We missed it. If you don't say that, we're going to say it for you as fans and media and everybody else. You missed it. So, and the other thing too is that I can't get, like, ever since I've been covering this team, why is it never easy with the draft with this team? Why isn't that? The only year it was easy was when they drafted Vic Beasley. And don't play revisionist history. Everybody thought Beasley was a great pick when it happened. Nobody had any objections to it. They needed a pass rusher, and it worked out for 2 years. Okay? After that, it went downhill fast. But it's never really been easy for the Falcons since I've been covering this team to go, boom, they got the guy. No one's ever going, boom, they got the guy. Other than Vic Beasley, I don't recall anybody ever going like, yes, that's a great pick. That's what it's like being a Falcons fan, I suppose. All right, coming up next, Hawks entering the play-in tournament. Brad Rowland will join us right here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. We'll be right back.